want to hear it?
Hello, Joe Mayo.
Hey, Al.
Watch the channel all the time.
Ellie.
My cousin, Elliot.
I'm not one of his secretaries.
Nor would I hear
I'm
ever.
retired.
Would I ever have the guts to say that? Yes, sir.
Okay. Did the Beats ever talk about their failed jam session with Elvis in '68 out of the Beverly Hills?
No, I never asked them because when I had them in the office, or they'd come in to see Eppie, or or if Eppie wasn't in, I had to try and stop them not going in this office because they would look in the diary and I used to type the contracts as well. And when we sent a contract out, I used to have to pencil it in the diary that it was like provisional booking. And then when the other piece of the contract came back, I then went over the pencil mark in ink, which meant it was confirmed. But Beatles are nosy, and it would always try
Help me,
and
Procol Harum. Gary Brooker, who said when his first band, when they were opening for the Beatles, and John had just had it and said, come on, we're going to put on hats and wigs, we're going to sneak out and we're going to get a couple of pints. And they went to a pub, and he said it was just, he finally got to relax, just to have a pie, a meat pie, and a couple of pints. And he said, what we didn't realize was sound check, by the time we tried to get back, the crowd was already there. He goes, shit.
Yeah, how do we get it?
So Gary said, stand behind me, you hide, I'll work my way in. Hey, I'm not going to talk, I'm with the opening band. Nobody comes back here. I'm the lead singer in the opening. Nobody comes back here. Listen, I'm the lead. Listen, son, you couldn't come in if you said you was John Lennon himself. He says, now I'm thinking, you're so... He said, and we're surrounded by kids. And John just sneaks behind me and goes, it is John Lennon, call somebody, quick. And I think it was Mal who said, like, the door opened like a vacuum lock, just big enough for him to grab these two kids, pull them inside and go, what the hell did you think you were doing? Frida, what a life, what a journey. Go find the movie. And it is such a joy and a pleasure to have you with us again. I love you so. It's Frida Kelly.
Troika, we have a little original theatrical piece, and I'm missing one of the people on the stage is going to be part of that as well. So I invite you to that.
David, I didn't know.
Yeah, right. One more thing about what Sirius and the Beatles channel in particular brings, with your different points of view, is even something you think you know is fresh again. And I'm thinking specifically of Take It Away, you dropped that in. Yeah, of course I've heard that album a million times. I say, okay, because it starts, oh, but that's really the start of the album. And that's really when it kicks off with Ringo and Bob. Yeah. Oh, I hadn't put it in that context, but in your special, yes, I did.
And he's so understated. He definitely makes you feel comfortable and catches you off guard. So I said, by the way, we get out of the first song, and first song segues to the second one. Where have I heard that done before, right? Many Beatle albums. And I said, and speaking of people who've never been on your albums before, Ringo Starr shows up and he goes, yeah, he's good. I know, we talk about the song, and he talks, and I asked him, what was it like? It was the first time any of the ex-Beatles are on one of his albums. I said, it's now well over a decade past the last time you guys played together. I said, so what was it like musically and emotionally? What was that like, putting the rhythm section back together? And he gave a very insightful answer, but he did the emotional part first, then got into the bassist and drummer locking in, and he goes, yeah, he says he's listening to it in his head. He goes, yeah, we go pretty well together. It's like, tell us something we don't know. I mean,
but tell it again.
To say it was understated he would say things like that to make it as they had told me going in. They said they want it to sound like a conversation, not an interrogation, right?
How about you?
So, I know you were saying that you do. I like the Beatles channel a lot. It's actually how I came to like the Beatles.
Right.
Yes. and so you said the thing about how you do like one solo song an hour, or at least one cover song an hour, things like that. So I was just wondering, so the Beatles songs themselves, like the 200 some songs, do you have any method to picking the Beatles songs themselves, like the frequency of when you play what Beatles song?
Yeah, well, we want things to, ultimately you want things to be familiar more than less, right? The majority of people out there want to hear songs they know and they can sing along to. It's like going to a concert almost. You want to be able to sing just about all of the songs that you go to hear, but then you want a few, in between that maybe a little bit deeper, and that's kind of how we do things. So yes, we do have our ways of sort of tiering songs and, bigger hits, a little less, so yes, there is a method to that.
And I've noticed one pattern, for instance, especially after Apple Jam.
Four characters on the television show. And I think this is one of the reasons why it resonated, is that, as you say, not just the Beatles, though that was huge, but music was in the air. I was up to 3 other pilots that year, music pilots. So music was in the air.
Everybody wanted to get
Yeah, but they weren't all rock and roll. One was folk music, like Peter Pan, that actually did go to pilot. It was called The Happiness. You can find that on the internet. I was up to that. I didn't get it, obviously. There was another one about a surfing band that people had been trying to pitch for a couple of years before the Beatles. So music and youth, and because the youth had, what do you call it? Dollars.
Yes, they had disposable
Disposable
income.
income. Yeah, they had money, and all of a sudden they're buying records, and people were saying, let's get something on TV that speaks to that. And so, of course, the Beatles launched it into a universe. But the Monkees was about trying to be the Beatles. That's what the show was about. These 4 guys that wanted to be the Beatles, or a rock and roll band. And he spoke to those kids around the world who were in their garages and their basements. And it's interesting to note, a very smart decision that the producers made.
So you have that now, you've done it. And that was where some of the friction came in with producers?
Well, yeah, especially for Mike. He'd been promised, as he said, the way he tells it, they said, he was a singer-songwriter. And they said, yeah, we're going to cast you and you'll write and sing and play and produce and do your own music. And that wasn't the case. The powers that be got a hold of it when it just took off. And he tells the story, and I do this in my show. I told the story of him. He says, I went in, I had my guitar, early days, said, and he played a song for me. And they said, oh, thank you, but no thank you, that's not a Monkey song. And he said, wait a minute, I am one of the Monkees. And
I
they
gotta
said,
get
yeah,
Mark.
well, don't call us, we'll call you. And so Nez kind of went, and he gave the song to Linda Ronstadt. It was different drum, Linda Ronstadt and the Stone Ponies, before she was Linda Ronstadt. And so he was very frustrated. I, not so much. I'd been singing, I'd been in the studio, I'd played guitar. They cast me as the drummer, a typical type